All right, and we're live here for episode 2 of the Jets Group Chat podcast. It's a special episode here tonight. We got fucking Bandoni is back after missing the debut episode, so good to have Nick in tow to get his thoughts.
Nicky
We have
we
still say fuck him.
we have Spiga back in tow tonight, and we're of course back with PJ. But I think we have a bunch of fuck yous coming to Dennis. Couldn't make episode 2.
Oh yeah.
Although dude guy wants to like hop on while he's driving down the turnpike. It's probably not a great idea. So I convinced him to sit this one out.
I don't think Dennis understands. This is a classy establishment. This is a real life situation going on right here. You can't be hopping in and out from the turnpike. This is real life. You're either in it or you're not. Dennis doesn't seem to be in it. So
not today.
I know we all text and drive in the group chat, but can't pot and drive. It's probably not a great idea. But that's neither here or there. Big shit going down literally seconds before we come on tonight. Jets just adding another tight end into the mix. Of course, we're going to go through all the stuff that they've done here in the last 2 days. But Jake Conklin coming over from Minnesota. Haven't seen any kind of contract numbers or anything, but I'd imagine that's probably a shorter term, maybe 2-3 year deal, something like that, to go with the addition of Uzoma on the first day of free agency. So 2 big tight end additions here for the Jets to give Zach Wilson security blanket. Just what are your guys' thoughts on this? What are we thinking about the tight end addition specifically the last couple days?
bye Tyler McBride.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you that. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that, we said this on the last pod, that everything is going to be determined by what we do in the moment. And, free agency comes up first. You grab what you can get. You don't want to be left in the draft, with your pants down, putting all your eggs in the McBride basket, and all of a sudden he gets picked at the end of the first round, or he gets picked in the beginning of the second round. So, it's smart. Do what you got to do. I think we got 2 pretty solid starters.
Yeah.
They're not Kittle. You don't have these, Kelsey. But again, they're solid, serviceable starters. They're above average, and I think Uzma is a phenomenal locker room guy. Everything that I see on Twitter, everything I've read so far is he's a guy's guy. He's a great locker room guy, and to be honest with you, for the culture change, I'll take that over anything else any day.
Yep, I'll take that. CJ Uzoma, I'll take that.
How are we feeling about it, Bandoni?
I think they're both like yak guys, they're athletes that can get yards after the catch. And, we haven't had a tight end since Dustin Keller. So I will take an upgrade any day.
Yeah.
3 years, $21 million.
Is that the numbers? That's a nice deal. I'll do that. $7 million a year. That's not bad at all.
That's Conklin or that's Uzoma?
Conklin.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal.
Nope. Especially if they run, some 2 tight end sets, especially spread somebody out. They're both, pretty serviceable, as receivers as well. I think we're going to be in a good space there, but it definitely pushes tight end down the draft board a little bit, and that stinks a little bit, but I think they'll still get somebody later on. They'll develop somebody. I think Rucker's going to drop a little bit. If he makes it to the 4th or 5th round, they'll scoop him up, let him sit for a year, or kind of work in the rotation, and then we'll see what we have. Hopefully build a nice little tight end room.
So Jerry, no Ryan Griffin?
Damn, bro. Hurts, bro. Hurts to even read. But look, it's the Jets. We bring guys back, sign them to practice squad, cut them, bring them back all the time. So there's still time. We can still do Ryan Griffin season all day.
I think Ryan Griffin season is come and gone, my friend.
Yeah, it's come and gone like 3 times last season as well. And guess what? He's still here.
It's funny. It's funny though. I think Conklin's probably a lesser known guy. Maybe general Jet fans never even heard of him. But you look at the numbers he put up last year, coming off of a career year, 60 catches.
I'm a fantasy team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, helped a lot of people last year. He's good waiver wire ad last year, but 60 catches, about 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not like a Pro Bowl season by any stretch of the imagination, but if you stack that up against like historic Jets tight end seasons, like that's probably the best tight end season a Jets tight end would have had probably in the last 15 years at least.
That's what I'm saying.
I think even when Keller was there, like I don't think Keller ever topped 65 or 70 catches.
No, I think it was just under 60, and I think his highest was like 500 yards.
Yeah,
and he couldn't block.
Yards.
Yeah, and he couldn't block. That's a great point, Nick. Couldn't block, where Conklin's really known as a block first guy before last year. You combine that with Uzoma, who I think put up close to 50 catches and 500 yards last year. So, like you said, Jerry, there's no Kelsey, there's no Kittle. We didn't add one of those guys, but hell, you combine the production that those two guys gave last year, you're adding 110 catches and almost 1,000 yards into the tight end room. So when you go from where I think I just read a stat before we came on, I think Jets tight ends have averaged 44 catches a season.
Terrible.
For the last 4 years or 5 years,
Ugh.
something like that. So let's never forget that Ryan Griffin walked so these guys could run. It's
right. Pour a
let's
little out for my man.
we'll raise a glass to Ryan Griffin for the sacrifices.
I'll tell you what though, the move does say that they're trying to move closer and closer to that Shanahan offense. You know, the single back, 2 receiver, 2 tight end split. They couldn't do it last year because of injuries, but I think that they're committed to it. They're going to get there, and I think that's another reason why I'm not sure. And we'll talk about this when we talk about the draft. You know, where some of these positions are going to fall, because I feel like everybody wants Allen Robinson, then they also want Garrett Wilson, they also want Christian Watson, but you know they might be good right now, and then just get somebody in the second or third round with the values there, and make sure you get just an impact player in the first round. Edge is definitely there, we know that, but I think that 10 pick, there's options. There's options there.
I won't be surprised if he moves back from that pick.
Yeah, he's definitely going to try to move one. But like I said in the chat the other day, I think either linebacker or D line is creeping up their draft board and is either going to be early on in the second round, or if they see the value in, let's say, like Jordan Davis, who just had his pro day today, he might be the pick at 10. Or if they trade back to 12, 13, 14, might be the pick there. A big monster body in the middle who could kind of sit next to Q, because that depth is shot now. Nathan Shepard is their next man up. Something goes wrong. Not about that life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they obviously have needs now. Obviously, Fatukasi got a nice above market deal with Jacksonville, who's just shitting out dollars at this point and giving them to whoever will take them. So
where does it come from? They spend hundreds of millions of dollars every fucking year.
Yeah, and they're always sucking every fucking year.
True. It's because you know why? Because when you send fucking $30 million to Christian Kirk, that's why you suck.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, Uncle Bob.
Nah, you got to be disciplined like JD. Can't overspend for Marcus Williams, even though we wanted him. But again, you got 2 impact starters now for the price of him.
Yeah, I love what he's doing. Like he's not overspending for just one guy. I mean, really, what's really the difference between Marcus Williams and Jordan Whitehead? I mean, can you really tell? You know what I mean? Like Jordan Whitehead's going to be out there. He's going to be back there balling.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and it's nice to see him sticking to his guns and not Tenenbauming it and just going after and throwing money at everybody he can.
Yeah, particularly you go back to those 2 guys. We'll kind of touch and bounce all over. There's a lot to touch on, and we obviously don't want to be here all night. But the guys that they obviously lost, Marcus May in the secondary, Fatukasi on the D line. But I think one of the themes that you have to bring up, we'll talk about the guys that they brought in from the inside, but I think one of the telling things is the amount of guys that they brought back. Generally, the culture has been something that people have shit on their way out with the Jets, probably for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Obviously, under the end of the Todd Bowles era, going into the Adam Gase era, it just seemed like the Jets didn't treat their players well. They didn't do right by the players, and they couldn't get out of there fast enough. Le'Veon Bell wanted out, and all these guys wanted out almost the minute they got there. Jamal Adams wanted out, and they wanted their money, me first. I just think it's pretty telling that they were able to keep guys in-house and retain so many of their incumbent free agents that they wanted to be there, and they're on board with what Salah's kind of set as a foundation, and they want to be part of that, bringing back, I think Berrios is a great move. Kind of a gadget number 4, number 5 receiver, and obviously he's irreplaceable on the special teams end. So you bring him back, you bring Nathan Shepard, who's the only McHagnon era draft pick remaining on the roster. If you would have told if you would have told me that 3 years ago that Nathan Shepard's going to be the lone survivor, I would have bet
as hell too.
I would have bet a lot of money against that. So
what deal did he get? What did he get? Was it
a big one?
Who, Shepard?
I don't think I've seen the money yet, Nick.
I think it's got to be something small. It had to be like a 1 or 2 year.
Yeah.
But again, I think you touched on a really good point there. If this was any other year, zero chance Barrios comes back.
Right.
Whether they just tell him like, "Hey, you're not worth this amount of money," and you go about your business. Whether it's they don't even offer him a contract. The story how it goes. Everybody wants somebody back, and all of a sudden it comes out down the road like 2 months later, they were never in on it. They never even offered him a contract. Barrios wanted to come back, a great player, and I think the biggest thing outside of the culture is you're giving Zach Wilson familiarity. You're giving him something that he can build off of. The quarterback room, exactly the same. You got Mike White coming back, and then we just re-signed Flacco coming back again this year. Pretty much as Mr. Third Down, his Julian Edelman 2.0 towards the end of the stretch was Barrios. The only really guy of value that he had to throw to at the end of the season. He's coming back. You keeping the center as it is right now, coming back. The quarterback coach, your offensive coordinator coming back. So I think outside of just giving him weapons, you're not throwing another playbook at him. You're not throwing new bodies. You're not throwing, new personalities to learn at him. He's got something to build off of. And right now there's no excuses. Zach Wilson needs to let it up and probably will let it up. And I think he's going to have a big impact sophomore year. But, right now he's been given so far just about everything outside of another stud receiver to do that.
I agree. Yeah, of course they bring back Tevin Coleman, Dan Feeney, another guy coming back. Obviously a big locker room guy. Not so much a contributor on the field, but
he played at the end of the year though. He had to come in.
You want a guy to crush beers at an Islanders game? That's your boy. That you roll. Hell yeah,
that's my dog.
That's my
Love
dog.
Dan Feeney. Yeah, love Dan Feeney.
Yeah, just guys like that. You want personalities. You want like some moxie in the locker room. Like you want that out of like a backup offensive lineman. Like you just have the guy that goes in there and does the job. But you bring a guy in there. He just has a little personality in the locker room, loosens the room. Zach's comfortable with him. It's just small moves like that. They don't really move the needle in terms of wins and losses. But it's a great point that you brought up, Jerry. Any kind of continuity that you could provide for Zach Wilson, I think that's huge right now going into year 2. Not having to learn a new playbook, a new system, new personalities, new scheme, all that. They're going to keep it as uniform as possible from what he ended the year with. So I thought that was really big that they brought a lot of those guys back. But as far as guys coming from the outside, that they were able to get, we'll get into a little bit with these day one guys, but obviously the big ticket guy everybody's talking about now is Laken Tomlinson, coming over Pro Bowl lineman from San Francisco. So there's obviously some familiarity there with Saleh and LaFleur and that scheme that they want to run. Just go through the gauntlet, all three of you. I'll start with Nick. What did you guys think of the addition of Tomlinson?
I mean, I think it's a guy that has familiarity with the system there.
What was that? What was that word again?
I'm having the beard's getting me. This is
First Miller Lite, bro.
Come on, we know Nick. We know Nick
know.
needs about 12 for a.
Make sure you put the beer in front so we can get a sponsorship. High Noon, Miller Lite, whoever it is, come on in. We'll take the money.
So I haven't watched him much, but from the highlights that I've seen, he's just a tank over there. I don't know who it was in the Rams, but he drove him in the ground. We haven't had that nasty with him and LVT, whatever his name is.
EVT
is
Who's that?
What's the fuck's the guy's name? Ver Tucker. Sorry.
Ver Tucker. Yeah.
Oh, AVT. Oh,
AVT.
AVT.
I hope he listens to this and is like, who's this jerk off who doesn't even know my name?
Well,
I'm about to be a perennial Pro Bowler.
We threw every fucking vowel in the alphabet in front of
Literally.
VT, so one of them will stick.
Who's that
So,
dickhead with the mustache? Doesn't even know what the first letter of my name is.
We get
Anyway.
back. It's going to be a nasty front five in there.
Is this the best you felt about a Jets O-line going into the season in a while?
Fanico and Mangold and the Brick probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's coming along. Obviously, I'll jump right in. The tackles are still a big question mark. Fant played well at the end of the season, which is great, but where's he going to play, left or right? Becton, when he's on, he's on. When he's hurt, he's non-existent. Your best ability is availability. So, what's that old age-old saying? If you have, two quarterbacks in the room, you have no quarterbacks. It's like if you have two left tackles, you got none. So there's still some question marks there, but a lot to be seen. But there's a lot to like about ABT. I think McGovern played really well at the end of last year's stretch. And again, even though at times he looked kind of shitty, but again, he graded out well. He was still like an above average, run blocker, pass blocker, which is good. And again, the familiarity with Zach Wilson.
Not easy.
It's a not easy word. It sucks. The only thing that I love the Lincoln pick. I really do. The pickup. The only thing that concerns me, he's a left guard. You're moving him to the right side. And I think a lot of times as, Nick, I mean, you're the ex-athletes here. You know how much it is, even though it's an easy switch.
Well, I'm
not.
an athlete, bro. I'm definitely
PJ, my bad. It's just, we shared the foxhole at the pit together, me and Ben.
Oh man, I tried out for the baseball team.
I was talking about football, but okay. Yeah, baseball too.
You just said athlete,
I was on that
motherfucker.
squad.
I meant, all right, whatever. So we're all former athletes, which is great.
Couldn't make all the laps around the pit, so I didn't make it.
Shit's rough out there, absolutely. But
yeah,
a lot of time,
Coach Nelly wasn't having that.
No, God, Coach Nelly, I miss him. Wonder what he's up to. I'm gonna text him. Anyway,
maybe he's listening in right now.
A lot of times, fans put a lot of just move him to the other side. Oh, do this. Oh, he's a guard. Oh, swing him out the tackle or push him inside. This shit's harder than you think. And I've, obviously for playing left tackle or left guard most of his career, now you move him to the right side. I'm sure he'll be fine because it's on the inside. It's not really, the edge, but something to keep an eye on. And was he 30, 31? Probably one of the older people that JD's gone after. Everybody's gone after is 23, 24. 26 has been the oldest one that we've seen so far. But I like the move. It's going to bring, that scheme continuity to the O-lineman room. It's going to be good. I'm happy to see where it goes and he'll be able to kind of preach to some of the younger guys. But I give it a B.
Okay.
B.
Give that shit an A, boy.
All right. Let's see. Why is it an A? Let's hear it.
Why is an A? I mean, he came from the Niners. He knows Salah knows him. He knows Salah. He's a beast. Like I just look at like his highlights and like him just running people through the ground. I think he'll be fine if he goes to whatever guard position, whether it's left guard or right guard. I mean, but you did say he's 30, so I mean, yeah, you get some veteran on that line that just like it's like Becton and Vera Tucker. I mean, those are young guys. I mean, he can take them under the wing. Hopefully, he's got some nastiness, so hopefully he can smack Becton around and just be like, wake the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's go time. Like you need to protect that fucking side.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's super important that might get overlooked about adding a guy like Tomlinson too, hasn't missed a single snap in like 4 years.
Hey,
That's a big one.
So we're talking about continuity and actually being out there. With all, I mean, we know it better than anybody. All the fucking injuries that
Watch
the Jets
this motherfucker blow out his knee in training camp.
Training camp, no doubt. It's the
Carl
Lawson, Carl Lawson for sure. I said this. I said the same thing to my buddy the other day. I said that certainly means we're looking at a mini camp injury or some shit for him. But you like the continuity and knowing that you could probably pencil him out there just about every snap. Gonna knock on wood now, but hoping that he's out there for every snap. So I think that obviously plays a role in it a little bit as well. Another big guy that they added. Everybody wanted Marcus Williams. Everybody talked about Honey Badger, but the Jets come out in day 2 and add Whitehead from Tampa Bay. Obviously, Super Bowl seasoned, young. I believe he's only 25. So you're getting him on the right side of 30, just coming into his prime, playoff challenged, Super Bowl challenged, all that good stuff. What do you think about that addition? I know last week when we all talked, I think we all kind of unanimously agreed. We kind of thought Marcus Williams was going to be the guy there. So any kind of disappointment on your end that we didn't land Williams? And what do you think of Whitehead as the consolation prize to Williams?
Again, it sucks to lose out on a guy, but I think what Connor Hughes said it right. There's going to be times where if you want a guy, you're going to have to overpay just because we're the Jets. Looking at he went to the Ravens. That's safety U. Ed Reed was there. They always had a lot of good safeties there, and they got a pretty good defense, pretty good quarterback too. So it's like they're somewhat of a playoff contender. if you want a guy, to get it to lure him, to New York and a team that kind of hasn't, made the playoffs in 10 years, you're going to have to overpay. And that's not JD. That's not, Joe Douglas's style. I think his per year money was a little bit low, but again, you can't knock the guy for making a decision. It's not like we don't know. We might've offered him what he wanted, but he said, you know what, I'm gonna go to the Ravens. I think Whitehead's a pretty good consolation prize, but he's more of a, rougher, strong safety. I think we still need a ball hawk. We still need a center fielder. And I think that's something we're going to have to address early on in the draft if they don't go after somebody else here. But overall, he's a guy I went after somebody on Twitter for it too. He's a guy I liked. If you miss out on Williams, quickly pivot, get your next guy. And he did. We didn't wait too long. So I'm happy to see it. Glad he's here. And that motherfucker hits hard. And I don't know if you look at his pinned tweet. There's a guy who goes, oh, look at this guy coming out and aiming for the head. And he's like, nah, bro, I just hit hard.
Hit hard.
Big dick energy coming to the fucking Jet secondary. I love it. All good. I'm happy he's here, and I advocated for that dude. Great consolation prize. Give it an A.
Yeah, definitely.
Minus.
I like it because Joe Douglas. Look at it. Brandon Sheriff was supposed to be the guy at guard, and then he got a big deal from the Jaguars. Consolation prize, Laken Thompson. Same thing. Marcus Williams gonna get a big deal, and he didn't get that consolation prize. Jordan Whitehead. I just like the moves that he's making, and he's not overpaying for guys. And I think Jordan Whitehead's gonna ball out there. So I like it a lot.
It's two things about this one that the Jets aren't Williams away from being a play. Being a
That's what I mean.
contender,
That's exactly what I mean.
Overpaying for him. And then, the deal that they gave to Whitehead, what was it, 2 years, 14?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he does, and he, let's hope he balls out. And if you can't extend him, franchise tagging a safety isn't the worst number that you'll get in the world, So you'll have him under control probably for 3 years at least.
Right.
And I like him. And he's Darrelle Reeves' cousin.
And he's Darrelle Reeves' cousin.
And he's Darrelle Reeves' cousin.
Yeah, we just franchise tagged May two years ago. So it's not like Joe D's not comfortable franchising a safety if he has to keep him in tow, and if you try to negotiate that long-term deal if he balls out. But he's still, like you said, that's one of the more attractive things to me about the deal is he's only 24. So even at the end of this deal, guy's only 26 years old. So he's still going to get another payday, and so he probably thought he'd get a little bit more this time around, but he knows he's going to go to a scheme that kind of fits his strong suit and lets him kind of roam a little bit. But I think it also another underrated guy we haven't talked about, and we're not going to spend more than a minute or two on this, but they brought LaMarcus Joyner back, and they felt really fucking good about LaMarcus Joyner going into last year. Obviously, he's started with the Rams. He was borderline like elite safety with the Rams. Goes to the Raiders and they move him to corner, and the guy's an atrocity at corner. But the Jets signed him to be a safety, and the guy blows out his Achilles 6 snaps into the season last year. So we never saw the guy. We never saw the guy in the scheme. And you bring him back for almost nothing to kind of just prove it and prove that he's healthy, prove this is a good fit. But I think it's not really going to be talked about until the season gets started and he proves that he's healthy and he proves that he can reacclimate to safety. But I think that's a sneaky guy to put next to Whitehead out there. If both of those guys hit, you might not worry about who's on the other side. Of course, now we don't have to watch Ashton Davis trip over himself and
Elijah Riley
try to make tackles that are 5 yards in front of him. It's just I had a lot of hope for Ashton Davis, but after 2 years of injuries and when he's been on the field, it's just been a really tough watch. So. That 2020 draft's not looking great.
Depending on what we do, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns into like a Cashman and JD tries to flip him for something. And I believe in his trading ability. So if we're gonna move it, he'll move him. But that's gonna start to be a crowded room there. Especially if everybody plays well and if they draft another body, because then they got the Peanut guy who's young, showed
like
heart.
that guy. They like that guy a
good.
lot.
Parks too. They have a lot of young guys, and I think this is just a lot of that veteran leadership.
The other Michael Carter the second, they got him in the secondary. So they
secondary's looking a lot better.
Yeah. And obviously the other glaring hole everybody wanted addressed when free agency opened was corner. Two young guys in tow already. You have Bryce Hall, you have Eccles, but I think the Jets probably view those guys more as really solid number 2 guys. Hall kind of showed some signs that maybe eventually he could be a low end 1 corner, but we don't know how that turns out. But obviously the Jets had to address corner. You heard a bunch of rumors they were in on Gilmore until it looked like that wasn't going to happen. So they end up with DJ Reed coming over from Seattle. Smaller guy, 5'9", not a big guy at all, but they say he's a ball
Don't knock
hawk.
5'9". There's nothing wrong with being 5'9".
Ball hawk, athletic. Yeah, nothing wrong with 5'9", man. I'm not hating, trust me. But just a ball hawking guy that apparently loves ball. Obviously, another guy started in San Francisco before going to Seattle, so is familiar with Saleh.
Yeah.
So
All these guys know how to run zone. All of them.
What'd you think of the Reed edition, guys?
I like it. I like it a lot. Like it's like the same. You know what I like? I like when you go on social media and you go like look up the guy and like the fans of that team are upset that they didn't keep him, or upset that they let him go. And it's like, yeah, he was like a fan favorite. Like this guy was good. You know what I mean?
Played bigger than the 5'9", tag that he's on. He's quick, he's got great vision for the ball, and I think that's one of the things they need. Somebody who's gonna make plays. Hall was a really good, solid corner for them, but didn't get his hands on the ball enough. They need somebody who's going to create turnovers, and that was another one of the allures for Sauce. Big, rangy, can make plays, turnovers. That's what you need. This team ranked towards the bottom of turnovers in the last couple of years. Like we need some people, whether it's in the secondary or in a linebacking core, who's going to get their hands on the ball and create turnovers. And I think we're on our way. We're getting there.
Getting there.
So my understanding of Reed is that he's like a number 2, right?
Yeah.
But I think Bryce Hall, before he got hurt, I think he was on a path to being a number 1. When he was drafted, he fell in the draft so much because he was hurt.
Right.
I'm not saying necessarily that he is a 1. I think they could roll out this group for this year. I think it's a serviceable group, They could roll this group out for this year, get the DN, get the pass rush, help those guys. And then if they don't, pan out, if somebody doesn't emerge as a 1, that will be our number 1 need next year,
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a really good point. It's got to start at the front too. Like you said, we have had no pass rush, and
KT.
You could be Revis out there, man. If you're left on an island for that long, somebody's it's bound to get open. And that's really what happened recently. They've had no pass rush, be able to create no pressure. And I mean, anybody, Mike Collier can pick them apart if they need to. What? But no, but it's, I think they're getting the right bodies. They're creating a new culture, and they're being strategic in their moves, not just throwing crazy money at Williams, which is fine, but they were able to now get 2 serviceable, above average starters for the price of 1 star.
Yeah,
got to do it right. We don't have that luxury right now.
Is Marcus Williams even a star though? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like
he's a good safety,
good.
but like
good, but
he's consistent. He's a good center fielder.
Is Marcus Williams much better than Whitehead to the point where you're paying him $9 or $10 million or more than Whitehead? Like I don't know.
It's very similar to like last year when Kenny Galladay was there, and JD chose to go with Corey Davis for cheaper, and then the Giants got Kenny Galladay for so much more, and Corey Davis is so much better than Kenny Galladay. Like
I have as much touchdowns as Galladay does right now.
Like.
It's true. And that's why I think, like, we talked about this last week or on our last pod.
Did you have more touchdowns than Monroe or Carteret?
Carteret, baby.
Oh, okay.
Carteret, baby.
You're welcome.
So Kenny Galladay was Spiga Monroe.
Absolutely. He was a Monroe product. He didn't come over to the big boys and Carteret.
Remember the time
Falcon way.
Remember the time we rolled up to Monroe to watch the basketball game when AJ Rudowitz was balling out, and you walked in with your varsity jacket and threw it on the ground so all the Carteret kids could stomp on it as they walked into the stands.
It's not my proudest moment.
You want to talk about big dick energy?
I don't think I ever heard that story.
It was rough. It was this was more of like a goose story in that crowd. It was wild. How about the other time I threw that party at my house and it was in the Monroe house, remember? And the Carteret people took over. It was like right before I transferred senior year, and we kicked the Monroe people out of a Monroe party. Do you remember that?
I do. I think I was there for that one.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh, you know who started that fight? I'll give you
don't-
one guess.
I
What
don't know.
group of brothers in Carteret would you say would start a fight?
Would it be a Williams brother?
It would be a Williams brother. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding ding ding. Big Nick energy.
And I think it was one of the rare times that all of them were in the same party at once.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's bound to happen then.
4 6'5" monsters just roaming the party, getting drunk. Anyway, back
Yeah.
to the Jets.
Good
Back to
Good
the
times.
back to the stuff you're actually here for.
Exactly.
So the obviously we touched on the tight ends. Those are pretty much the big ticket ads at this point. Before we move on to like where the roster currently sits and what they might be looking at heading into draft, is there one or two specific guys? And obviously there's still some good talent out there, so we don't know if they're done completely, but is there anybody that signed elsewhere that you were super bummed that the
Zadarius Smith.
Okay. Yeah, you were in the chat all day on Zadarius Smith.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a nice ad.
Always like that Miles Jack guy. I heard he signed with Pittsburgh today.
Pittsburgh, yeah,
Yeah.
just like an hour or two ago. I was a
Yeah.
Jack guy as well.
I was always a fan of him.
Yeah, tackling machine. How about you, Spiga?
What's that? I just had a weird thing coming in my headphones. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Pass. Come back to me. Trying to think of who, because I wasn't really like.
You're the
ups-
last one, man. There's no. It's not like Dennis is fucking appearing out of thin air to
He
give me.
might.
Turnpike Den.
Well,
So I
I'll
can-
go. I was.
Oh
bummed.
no, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
Well, fuck
Did-
you. You lost your.
No,
turn.
too bad.
No, I was bummed, and I knew it was gonna happen. As soon as they fucking said Tom Brady was coming back from the dead, you know Jensen was going back to Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were all in.
Yeah.
We were all in agreement. I think last pod that Jensen was a guy the Jets
Yeah.
should and would probably pursue. They obviously miss out on him. He goes back for another run with Tom Brady, but I was pretty pissed when that happened. I would have liked to get an established center to go with this group.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind keeping it where it is.
Well, I
Do-
mean, Connor McGovern, Bart Scott was talking about it today. He was saying if they cut him, they save like $9 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then you're gonna pay 11 for a guy who's
That's $2 million
Comparable.
more. Who's probably might be better than McGovern. That's what he was saying. He brought out the name JC Trotter. I don't even know who he is.
He's
but
the guy
he
that
was-
Browns just cut, I think.
Yeah.
he's the president of like the like the
NFLPA.
NFLPA. Yeah, so I mean, he's a good guy, great locker room guy, but I remember who the guy was talking about, DJ Jones, the D tackle from the 49ers.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
one that I wanted because I think, like I said before, I think our D line is getting suspect and, Q's ascending, but, where is he? Rankins was up and down like crazy. We're looking to add an edge guy, which means you're going to kick, JFM inside, and then Lawson, you don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. We're all assuming he's going to be great. But, a D line that we always kind of thought would have been, we're good. I feel like slowly but surely creeping up the draft boards. And, I would have liked to see them sign either another big body or maybe they have something in mind, where they look to get a Jordan Davis or a Wyatt, the kid from Georgia as well, early in the draft, or even with Travis Jones in the early of the second, the kid from UConn. They coached him, they've seen him in the Senior Bowl, so maybe they know something we don't. But D line, anybody out across the D line, I feel like we should have got. Real quick though, one thing it totally blew my mind. We were one of the last ones in on Chandler Jones. Like there, he had no problem like going crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Were we?
Yeah, we were one of the 2 finalists to get him, but
Oh, I had no idea about that.
yeah, they were talking about it on I forget where. Dan Orlovsky was talking about it too, and they were
Yeah.
all saying like that's uncharacteristic for what we were looking to do. Maybe that we were nowhere near close to getting him his price tag of 17.5 that he wanted, but still, it's like it shows that edge is something that he wants and he's gonna get, and he might double dip in the draft as well.
Yeah, you might get in the draft.
Yeah. The thing
How
with
much
the,
money they still got? How are they going to get on a Chandler Jones?
I don't know how much cap room the thing with cap room is like I
Shit
think
don't make
Spiga said
sense.
like
Fluid.
sometimes cap room seems like a fucking myth. Like how are the Saints able to maybe get Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson?
They're
Like
gonna get him
well,
without having to do anything.
they're like 30 million over. They were $70 million over
They
the
were
cap a
hot.
month ago. Now they're in the running for Deshaun Watson
They were
without
talking. Yeah,
cutting
they were talking about
anybody.
fire sailing. Like we're gonna trade Lattimore. We're gonna get rid of Michael Thomas. We're gonna move Alvin Kamara.
But
And
the
then all of a
thing,
sudden
yeah, you could like restructure deals. So like you could convert, like I sign you to a 4-year, $20 million deal. I guarantee only the first 2 years. I could convert that third year into like guaranteed money. So they could move money to different years and guarantee it. So
Mhm.
they've essentially just been moving money around and guaranteeing it in years beyond this one, so they could get under the cap now and still keep guys, which is essentially what the Jets could do. Like they could cut
Yeah.
McGovern and save $9 million. They're going to obviously cut Griffin. That opens up another $3 million. They could cut
Greg
they
Van
could,
Rotten.
Van Rotten, I think, is $4 million. Like there's cuts they could still make to open up that, and then they could, like I said, they could restructure Mosley. There's other guys that they could restructure. They could probably open another 15 or 17 million, something like that, on top of whatever they have
Yeah.
left. I
Which is-
don't know what they have left because I don't know how they're going to structure the money that they just
I
gave
think
out for
like
this
2
year.
days ago, or like after the first wave of free agency, I think I read it was like there's still like 30 something over. And I know we got to allocate like just under 20, but still like they might. I mean, everything I see now is probably going to be depth unless they have one. He has one big trade left in him, which is why keep your eye on Daniel Hunter, the kid from.
I
the
just saw
Vikings.
Minnesota's looking to move him, right?
They want
The
to move
end.
him bad. Yep. And I mean, if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm all over it. Especially if you were
Yeah.
in that late on Chandler
He's good.
Jones and you
Yeah.
don't know if you're going to get one of the edges at 4,
Yeah,
worth a shot.
that's the thing too. When you talk about the D tackle, that being a major hole now, you move when you lose Fatakasi going to Jacksonville and you miss out on Jones. It's crazy though. Like it always seemed like the Jets were going to be out on Fatakasi as soon as free agency opened. Like they knew he was going to get more money than they wanted to give. But if you look at what they both end up getting, they almost got like identical deals. Like Fatakasi got just I think the same deal as DJ Jones did, 3 years for
Yeah,
30.
30. Yep.
Yeah, so they both got identical deals, but like Jones is regarded as like that's the premier D tackle on the market, where Fatakasi's like whatever.
You want to know
Like,
what it is?
former
Probably
Jet.
because he played with the Jets, man. People don't respect us. Honestly, it sucks, but people like even after we got, some of these big time free agents, like you look at like the Bleach Report stuff, they're like, oh, C+, oh, this, B-,
Haters.
and then everybody else is getting A's. Like that just comes with the territory. Everybody hates the Jets, and we're here for the long haul, but everybody, it sucks. Nobody respects us, and I think we got to, make some moves before we can, really start beating our chest a little bit.
for sure,
Zach Wilson just
But-
has to be elite. If he's elite, the Jets go.
no
Mhm.
doubt.
Oh yeah,
It's a quarterback
make
driven
it
game for sure.
make a leap at all.
But yeah,
I think he will.
we're gonna kind of start wrapping this up, but jumping now, just looking ahead. Obviously, we have probably the majority of our signings done at this point. Roster looks like what it does. 3 days into free agency, like Spiga said, maybe add a guy here for depth, add a guy there for depth, barring a dramatic trade or something that's not really on the radar. What are you guys looking at as priority one going into J1 of the draft with the 4 and 10 pick? I know last week we were all in Gardner. A lot of guys wanted Gardner. We talked about Thibodeau a little bit, talked about wide receiver at 10. Obviously now you're probably not going offensive lineman. You're probably looking more now at edge. Probably corners not as much of a need now as you thought it was a week ago. Just what do you guys think that they need to look for at 4 and 10, maybe compared to what they were looking at a week ago?
Think that like my ideal, I would love for an edge at 4. I would love Sauce at 10. That would be my ideal. And then because receiver, this is like a deep receiver class, grab a receiver in the second round.
Okay.
I want
Receiver. Okay.
KT at 4. If KT is on the board and they don't take him, I'll be very sad. At 10, if it's not an elite prospect, I trade down somehow, some way, somewhere. If like Hamilton's there at 10, boom, you get him. If he's not there, I don't want to draft a receiver. I don't want to draft a linebacker at 10. You trade down. You could draft a center from Iowa. You could draft a receiver, a safety in a second, somebody else after that.
I like
We're in,
that.
we're in playoffs.
I'm more on the line of that. Like
See,
Nick said,
Von Miller just went to the Bills. I don't know about playoffs yet.
oh, Miller's washed, man.
What a deal he got, huh?
What a
Yeah,
deal.
6
Didn't-
years. He's already like 33, isn't he?
Right? He's old.
yeah,
Crazy.
all the money's guaranteed in the first 3 years. So they'll
They'll cut him.
it's essentially a 3-year 52 from what I
But
saw.
everybody's going for it. You know what I mean? Chargers are going for it. Broncos are going for it. Bills are going for it. It's nuts.
I'm not saying we're about to fuck around and win the Super Bowl, but like I'm trying to win 9
Bengals did
games.
it.
I'm trying to win 9 games and get in the playoffs. I'll get waxed
trying to-
by the Chargers in the first round for the next 5 years. I'd sign up for that now. I'm just trying to get in the playoffs and be competitive.
Meaningful games in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaningful games
Like,
in September.
I don't want to have to try to unload my fucking Jets Jaguars tickets on December 13th for $7 a pop. I want it. I want to actually go to that game and enjoy it and have something to get fucking amped about.
Yeah.
So let's get some meaning in these December games.
And Zach Wilson's got to take a step. He's got to take a step forward. You
Yeah,
can't
definitely.
go
That's
into
the big
next
thing.
year not knowing what he is.
Right.
Still.
What
He's
are
gotta
you
do
what are
something.
you thinking with the draft strategy now, Spiga?
It's going to be depending on how they view the board and depending on how the board falls. You got to get an edge with one of the 2 picks. Period. You have to do it. It's no questions asked. Edge has got to be there, whether it's for KT or Hutch falls, or you got to swing for Walker or Jermaine Johnson at 10. There's got to be somewhat of a flip there. It's got to be 2 impact players. You got to have somebody. I know I've been preaching also too that like, wide receiver might not be the best at 4 or 10. Let's, address it in the second round, but they need 2 bodies in there at the very least right now, unless you're going to double dip later in the draft. I mean, it's got to be, got to come up early on, but I would like to see, maybe even like you said, the D line be touched on there or early on in the second round. I think we can move tight end down. I don't think that's really going to be grabbed early on. It's got to be 2 impact players wherever they are, wherever it is. It's got to be 2 studs. I don't care if that means D line and edge. I don't care if that means safety and edge, or if you're sure Garrett Wilson's the guy, get him. Who gives a fuck? Do what you got to do, but it's got to be 2 impact players who are going to be cornerstone players like we had, like we did last year. Got to be
feel
another
like-
AVT.
I feel like I'm the only one that's high on Sauce in here right now. Like
We don't.
I
I
want
like Sauce is nice, but we don't need him right now. Now he's going to be a crowded
I
room.
feel like he's gonna be legit. Like you can pass him, and then even if you're gonna say you don't need him, but he's gonna be. I just feel like he's Darrell Revis vibes. Like
Is he
just
going to
feel
win
like-
you games though?
I don't
Yeah.
think Salah's defense.
I feel like he's
needs him.
that good. I feel like or gonna
Salah's
be.
defense needs pass rush. Like when he was in San Fran when they were killing it. Who were the cornerbacks?
Yeah, you had old Richard Sherman and a bunch of guys.
And yeah,
Don't get me wrong, he's good. It's just
I think he's gonna be really good.
He's
I
gonna be real
agree
good.
with you.
we just talked about we talked about it on the last pod. It's like, where does that position fall on draft value? Yeah, to have a lockdown corner is great, but he takes still. It's let's say you get no pass rush, then just he picks on Hall. He picks
Corner
on
doesn't
Reed.
matter.
but I mean,
Somebody else,
with
doesn't matter.
every team has a receiver in threat. Like legit, every team has a number 1 receiver.
And Hall locked him down last year.
They're gonna the thing is though, like at this point the Jets are in the AFC East. Like Josh Allen is your only fucking motivation right now. Like, how do you stop Josh Allen? You have to get to him. Like
Whitehead.
if you don't get to Josh Allen, it doesn't matter who the fucking corner is. The guy's gonna make his throws. Diggs is gonna make his catches no matter who's out there. And so I just think the way Salah runs the defense, I like Bandoni said, like the pass rush takes more of a precedent over the corner. If you have a good pass rush, it could kind of mask the inconsistency of the corner. If you don't have a pass rush, you're going to get beat eventually at corner. You could be the best corner in the league, but if there's no pass rush, they're going to slip up a time or two. It's going to happen. But I was on the Gardner train. Like I love Gardner. I think Gardner is going to be a great player. When we talked last, like I was in for Gardner at 4. But I think now at this point, I can't go Gardner at 4. I wouldn't be opposed to Gardner at 10, but I don't think Gardner will be there at 10. I think
Probably not.
Gardner's gone before 10, no doubt. So I don't think they're in a position right now when it comes down to pass rush or a corner. I think they have to go pass rush, assuming Thibodeau's there. I mean, I think things are still a little bit murky at the top of the draft. Like we thought last week, like Neal or Okanu was going to go 1. Now it seems like Hutchinson is going to go 1.
I hate
Like,
4. I hate 4
Who knows?
so much.
Who knows what Detroit's thinking?
No.
Houston's about to make a Watson trade. Who knows what they get back in that deal? Like, say they get a stud lineman or a stud D end or more picks, and they could get another guy
Later
a couple
on,
spots
exactly.
down. Like Houston's draft strategy is pretty murky. So, like, I don't know for sure that Thibodeau's going to be there. So, if he's not on the board, like, I really don't know what the Jets do. What's your need now? Like, you don't want to go one of the linemen. If Thibodeau and Hutchinson are gone, both linemen are gone. Where are you going?
Yeah, I
Like,
heard Trayvon Walker was good.
He's like, it's good. He's going to
You don't
shoot
say
into the
that.
top 10. Well, now another thing now, because we always talk about trade down, especially trading down from 10, because I think that, we might not value 4, but, Joe Douglas, might. Now, things have changed. After the Russell Wilson trade, the Jets were the prime spot to leapfrog. If you want a quarterback, to leapfrog up to beat Washington. Now you got to leapfrog Seattle at 9 if you want a quarterback, because more than likely they're going to take one. So now you got to go to 8 or 7 to the Giants to get there. So now that kind of sticks you there. It might push a player down the draft board that we might like, but I think it makes trading out a lot harder, because now what's somebody trading up for? Unless Seattle doesn't go quarterback, which they should, but
I think
Malik Williams will be good there.
I think one wild card with that too. Just touching for a second on the quarterback. Again, going back to the Watson trade, Carolina is one of those finalists.
If they get him, then what?
Carolina moves the 6th pick to Houston. Houston sits there with the 3 and the 6. Houston's going to need a quarterback unless they're getting a Baker Mayfield or a Sam Darnold placeholder in return in one of these trades. Maybe they want to go quarterback at 6. You get your guy at 3, and then you double up and take quarterback at 6. So that if people are getting rumblings that Houston likes quarterback at 6, then that 4 spot becomes prime to jump them if you want one of those guys. Not that I don't think anybody's moving up the fucking 4 to take Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or anybody. I don't know if they're good enough to jump up to 4, but like we said last week, if that's your guy, that's your guy, and you move up and you go take him. So it's going to be fascinating. Like I feel like there's so much shit to touch on, but really these next couple days are going to have to play out. I think that Watson trade is going to be a lot more interesting than just where is he going, but like what's the compensation for Houston? Are they getting 2022 ones? Who's getting him? What picks are they? Just like the Russell Wilson trade kind of affected us because Denver moves out of the 9 right in front of us at 10. Now Seattle has different needs than Denver did. So if we liked a guy at 10, now Seattle has a shot at maybe a guy we liked. So don't know what's going to happen with that Watson trade, but I think that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. But yeah, just another fucking crazy world in how the NFL turns.
Where do you guys think he goes?
There you
I know
go.
we talked about it.
New
Eagles?
Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans?
I think
Mhm.
Carolina.
In Carolina.
Like looking at like what's happening, the Browns make sense because you see Baker saying his heartfelt goodbye. They're dropping cap players for cap space. So like they're making a push for him. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going there, but all the signs point there. But who the fuck wants to go to Cleveland willingly? But I think he would probably do
Baker.
Baker. That's my boy. Still
Well,
bad.
I
Still feel bad about Baker.
I saw a report a little while. Yeah, you Baker Mayfield looking fuck.
Hey man, when you're good looking, you're good looking. Whatever.
I saw a report a little while ago. Like apparently Cleveland's moving on from Mayfield no matter what. Like even if they don't get Watson, like he's
More than
gone.
likely, he's done. If you're
Yeah.
not preaching, this is my guy, this is my QB1, he's not your guy. And that sucks to hear, like as Baker Mayfield, like, but move on and crush it somewhere else. He laid his body on the line. He fucking destroyed his body this year, tore everything, his shoulder, his hips, everything. He's all fucked up. But that's the nature of the game. It's the business, man. And they'll move on. They'll go somewhere else. He'll get a shot somewhere else. We'll see what he does, but it sucks to see.
Yeah, man. It's going to be an interesting next couple days as we kind of move into these the next wave of free agency. You get more of the depth guys and the second tier guys coming off the board. We'll see if the Jets pull off any trades or make any more depth moves as we inch closer here to move into the 2022 NFL draft. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate you all tuning in. Oh, for any of you guys who didn't know last week, we're now we're legit. We've got a channel on YouTube.
Serious.
We're we're live on Spotify and we're live on Apple Podcasts. So as soon as this one goes live and is up for consumption, be sure to like, subscribe, give us a fucking awesome rating. Let us know how much you like it. And we're going to keep pumping out content weekly for you guys as we move into the off season. So appreciate you guys hopping on. Appreciate you all listening. And we'll catch you guys in the coming weeks here.